2414 is a podcast about finding hope and common ground through casual conversation. Like the friends on the road in the New Testament, in Luke chapter 24, verse 14, we want to walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. Thanks for walking with us.
Hey, welcome to 2414. I'm Dan. I'm sitting at the helm today. Shane is not with us. He's no longer with us. No, that's really somber. But that might be what we're talking about later in a certain way. But next to me is Jonah Kaufman. Across from me is Brenda Schmelling. And thanks for being here, friends.
Yeah,
of course. This is going to be fun. We are talking today about grief. This upcoming Sunday, we're going to be celebrating sounds like a strange word, but I think celebrating is okay too. All Saints Day, where we remember those who've gone before us in the faith. And it's also the case that we grieve people who aren't in the faith. We grieve all kinds of things, even besides the death of loved ones, and we're gonna take some time and process that today. But before we do that, we're gonna share highs and lows, play a little game. I've offered to both Brenda and Jonah candy corn. So far,
easy no.
Neither one of them has reached for it. I thought we might have to play Hungry Hungry Hippos and kind of fight each other over it.
No, you can have it.
But it looks like that's just going to be for me.
Yep.
So, all right, I'm okay with that. Jonah, would you kick us off for highs and lows, and if you have any feelings you've been feeling that you want to share?
Yeah, I'll start with a low. My car was having some troubles yesterday, kind of on the way to work. It was moving back and forth, and I was very concerned I wasn't going to be able to make it to work. It kind of turned into a high, I guess, though, because it's working now without any troubles, it seems. So we'll see if that's a problem that we're kicking down the road later. But otherwise, very low. But my high would be definitely the fall festival that we had this last Saturday. That was a big event, and that was really cool to see the community come together, and really proud of all of our youth for helping out and serving during that time too. I think it was a really good time overall. Feelings wise, kind of coming in a little bit excited. I just got done going to Costco and picking up a TV. So, yeah, that's after awesome. Costco, you always have to feel a little bit better. But we got a new TV for our youth room, thanks to the theater group.
That's awesome.
Very, very excited about that. So,
all right. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Brenda, what about you? Lows, highs, feelings?
Yeah. Low for me right now is health insurance. It is such a pain to switch health insurance and get paperwork submitted and follow-up documents, and that's kind of been slow. So waiting for that to be finalized, which messes up some appointments. So that's kind of a ongoing low that I hope gets resolved soon-ish. A high, I went a couple weeks ago to Portland. I mentioned this to you guys earlier, to visit a friend, and we went to an interactive art museum called Hopscotch. And
I've never heard of an interactive art museum, by the way. That sounds like you're going to touch the sculpture and ruin a painting.
Yeah, I mean, you're encouraged to touch everything. So there's some rooms that are very, very intense light and sound, and it's supposed to affect your mood. Ooh. So one of them had 3 different rooms, a red, a green, and a blue room. We went into, I think we did it the right order. We went into the red room, and it was very intense. Like, I felt myself just like feeling like anxious, uncomfortable, like I want to get out of this room. We went over to the blue room, and with the noise and everything, I felt calmer. I'm like, oh, this is much better. I could stand in here for a little bit longer. And then in the green room, I felt jumpy, like bouncy. That was my word. I'm like, I feel like energetic.
Tigger.
And it's just the intense light and the specific sounds they were using that could affect your mood. So anyway, lots of interactive stuff, and it's really fun to go through it.
Okay.
Yeah, recommend it.
All right. Any special feelings you want to name that you've been feeling?
Ooh, special feelings. One of them is a little bit underlying fear. Another one is like joy also. So both underlying fear and some joy.
Fair. Thanks. For me, low. I think one low is I've not slept well for a few nights in a row, and it's Sometimes that's because I'm like anxious or thinking about something, and it's not been that. And sometimes it's like I had too much caffeine too late in the day and I got to stop. But like, it's not been that. It's just like I'm tired, I fall asleep, and then I wake up an hour later and I'm like, oh, it's probably about 4 or 5. Oh no, it's 11:30. Well, I guess I'm just going to lay here till 4 or 5 when I decide to get up.
Right.
And then I usually fall asleep like right before 5 o'clock and I'm out cold and then the alarm goes off. I'm
It's like that sweet sleep. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I was so comfortable.
That deep REM sleep.
yeah, so I've had, it seems like 3, maybe 4 nights in a row of that. And so that's been a low. A high, I've had some really good connections with my daughter. Alexis sent me a text message this week. She's 14, and it was just like, thanks for working so hard, Dad. I'm proud of you, and I love you. It was my little girl. So my 14-year-old. So that was like, that's been the high of the last month probably. And then I'm celebrating a birthday this week, and so that's been fun to just get together with friends and have conversation and play games. And we had a few people over for a little gathering, and one of the little boys must have been like 4. He kept saying, like, when are we going to open the presents?
Oh.
And Dad was trying to explain to him, like, we're probably not. And also, like, we didn't bring one, so quit mentioning presents. just this great conversation. Like, that's not going to happen, dude. And also, shut up about the presents. We came very empty-handed, which that was the plan, expectation. So that was fun. So some feelings, thankful. That's been a feeling this week. A little bit overwhelmed. Tired seems more of like a physical sensation than an emotional feeling, but that's where I'm at there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
I know we do this normally on the podcast and as a staff and as friends, but I don't take it for granted. It's really significant to me. I do this with my cross-country club too. I coach. My group is primarily like 8 to 11-year-olds, and so we'll have like a mile warm-up. And that's what we do. I'm like, all right, what's been the best part of your day so far? And so we're out there running, doing, and like, all right, what's been the hardest or most frustrating or disappointing part of your day? So do highs and lows with 9-year-olds running around in the woods.
I like that we make the space for it. Like, it does kind of slow everything down, and it takes time to do it, but I like that we do it.
Yeah. It's kind of like a warm up, right? I mean, like you're warming up your body with the run, but like in general, like when you're getting into something, you're like, all right, let's hear about each other first before we dive into what we're doing.
Like before you kind of jump into business, like, hey, how are we? How are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that phrase, even like it slows everything down. And then that made me think, but it's probably like the most important thing we do. Like not only like, is it worth it, but if what would be more important? Like than connecting with the people around you.
Right.
Like, there's times we got to get work done, but like even that, not at the expense of people. So yeah, it slows things down, but it also says, no, this is what matters. So that's good.
Yeah.
Also, what matters is having fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to play a round or two of Outburst. Jonah, have you played Outburst?
I think we did the last time I was on the podcast.
I think so too. I think we did.
I think that was
So it's the game of verbal explosions. I love picturing people right now driving or listening, just rolling their eyes like, oh, this again.
Well, and last time it was toothpaste brands in the 80s, I think. So
Colgate had to be number 1.
Colgate, Crest.
My grandma Weber,
weird ones.
My grandma Weber saved everything. They lived a very poor life. Like my dad grew up like they didn't have plumbing, outhouse, like washboard in the river style. And so my grandma saved everything. And so every Christmas, our gifts from Grandma Weber would be Colgate things because she saved the QPC or whatever, like the proof of purchase things are. You're looking at me like I'm a crazy person all of a sudden.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So like you used to be like when you bought a thing of toothpaste, you could like cut out a corner of the box and you would save those. And if you saved enough of them, you could mail them in and they would send you like a Colgate duffel bag. or like a Colgate baseball hat, or like
Some
just
kind of merch?
total crap merch that was
Okay.
just garbage, but promotional for them. And you just had to pay shipping and handling, and you send in so many box tops. And
Okay.
so that's what Grandma Weber would give us every year, was like Colgate merchandise from her saving the pieces of cardboard from her toothpaste containers.
They still do that on cereal boxes, don't they?
Like school fundraisers, it seems like.
School. Yeah, because box top sounds familiar.
I had a friend in college who did that with Marlboro. His mom like had a Marlboro catalog, like the cigarettes. So you'd save your cigarette boxes, and like you send in so many, and you could. So he
You get Marlboro.
merchandise, hats and a backpack, and tennis shoes or whatever.
Save our stuff and send us money. We'll let you advertise for us.
Yep.
Right.
So that's how a certain demographic of people provided for their families.
Yeah.
Sorry, Colgate. That was my Grandma Weber memory of getting Colgate stuff, and like she was so thankful to be able to give it to us, and we were so thankful to receive it.
Yeah.
And it was also like that was our Christmas present.
Yeah.
All right, so Outburst, for the three of you still with us today, it's a game of verbal explosions. I'm going to read a category. Brenda is going to flip over the hourglass timer. We are going to be speaking aloud and writing down so we can remember as many things as satisfy this category as possible, so that we can get all 10 of the top 10 answers that some random soul editor 35 years ago came up with as the answers.
Yeah, we are.
It's not Family Feud, like 100 people surveyed. No people were surveyed. This was just one dude at his typewriter going, I could think of 10 toothpaste brands. And then he wrote them down, and he's like, this is a game. See if you can think of the same 10 that I thought of.
Right.
And people were like, I will pay money for this game.
And we're going to get them all.
And then somebody paid money for the game, and then we found it in a closet. And we're like, this is how you should do a podcast. So if you're driving, now's a good time to pull over, turn the radio up, silence your phones. We are going to see if we can come up with the top 10. And if you get some that we don't, we would love to hear about it.
Comment below.
Comment below. All right.
Okay.
Our first category is wallet contents. Wallet
Pictures.
and contents. Cash.
Credit cards.
I was going to say, would they have had credit cards?
Would they? Yes. Driver's license. I'm going to say pictures of kids.
Gift cards.
Wasn't a thing.
Coupons.
Oh, coupons for
probably.
sure. A key, spare key.
Okay.
A lock of your baby's hair.
That's creepy.
Some
Receipts.
Oh, receipts. I like that. A medical alert, or like insurance card. I'm say that insurance card. Vaccine information.
In the 80s?
I don't know. They
Okay.
had vaccines have been around for a long time. It's your kids.
Coins.
Yeah.
Along with
All
cash.
right. What else do you have in your wallet?
Gum.
Oh,
Gum.
we're crushing this. Phone numbers.
Oh. And time.
Oh man.
All right.
How many did we get, Brenda? What do you think?
We got 6.
Confident
At
6
least.
at least. Jonah.
I'm going to go with like 4.
4. 8.
about you?
8.
All right.
I think we got 8.
All right.
I feel good about
That's a
this.
good round.
So 6,
6.
4, and 8. If Shane were here, he'd say 3, and he might be the most accurate. This is one of those things. Every time we play, I'm like, this time we got it.
Right.
And I'm so optimistic every time. It's so crushing. All right.
Okay.
Wallet contents. Here we go. Number 1, cash.
Yes.
You said it.
1 point.
1 for 1. Number 2, credit cards.
Yep.
Very good.
Number 3, photos.
Yes.
Oh, 3 for 3. Number 4, change.
Yes.
It's 4 for 4. Number 5, tokens. Is that like Chuck E. Cheese or bus fare?
Oh, bus fare maybe.
Like tokens?
Or like a laundromat. Do they have tokens? I don't think we got that
We
one.
didn't get tokens.
Okay.
Number 6, a condom. Didn't get that one. Number 7, draft card.
Nope.
Really?
Like, this is your number. So pay attention to the news because we might be shipping you off.
Gosh.
May as well keep it
think
with you. We had to register for, what's it called? Like the armed services?
Really?
When you're 18?
Yeah.
don't you?
Men when they're
do?
18.
I don't know if I've ever done
You were
that.
supposed to have.
Well,
It's like there's not a draft, but if there were, you're kind of putting your name in the hat.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we're not telling anybody
do
your
I
last
have
name.
to?
They don't know.
Right.
So, all right, draft card.
Okay.
Number 8, Auto Club card.
What is an auto club card?
Comment below if you know what an auto club. Maybe it's like AAA.
AAA.
Because then that would count. We said
That's like the
insurance
people who come
card.
tow you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Auto club card. I don't think that's insurance. That's more like I'm a member of
Lexus.
or like what AAA, like some trip group.
Okay.
I think of like car shows, like
Maybe so.
traveling car show.
Number 9, driver's license.
Yep.
We got that.
That makes sense.
And number 10, your social security card.
Oh. Yeah.
Who carries that with them? That's like this piece of paper that it rains once and now you don't have an identity
True.
because it turned to mush in your wallet.
Right.
You got 5, which isn't bad. I mean, it's an F.
You said
but 5.
Sure, it's an F. Sure, it's failing. You said 6. You said 4. So you're the closest without going over.
Oh.
Jonah won.
I guess
All
that's
right.
true. Yeah.
I was the most optimistic and the most wrong. We started off 4 for 4.
Really strong.
Unstoppable. Stopped dead in our tracks by tokens. All right.
Tokens. All right.
Jonah, which one were you most surprised by in that?
I'd probably say the auto car
Auto Club card?
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like anything I would be a part of like nowadays. Like maybe it is AAA, but like you don't call it that anymore.
Right.
But like I'm not a part of that.
Okay.
So
Brenda, what was most surprising for you?
The draft card, because that was the most different from anything we offered. Like tokens, I was thinking coupons, and the auto thing, like we were talking about insurance, but draft card was like so far left field.
Yeah, that was mine. Of like that's a different world.
Yeah.
That is a different world. It's a good world. I'm thankful for people who have served, but yeah, that is not my experience. All right, one more round?
Yes.
sure.
Oh, this is timely. You might not be the right crowd for this, but we're going to do it anyway.
Oh man.
Okay.
All right. Let me read it twice before you flip it
Okay.
over here. Playing at home along. 10 famous New York Yankees. 10 famous New York Yankees.
Oh man.
And go. DiMaggio.
Oh, Joe.
Ruth.
I was gonna say Babe Ruth, right?
Don Larson. Yogi Berra.
Wow.
Brenda, I'm waiting for you to chime in here.
I'm giving you guys a thumbs up.
Mickey Mantle. Roger Maris. All right, this is just apparently just me playing by myself here.
Sammy Sosa, but he was on the Cubs. So
Just look at Brenda.
still got time. We still
All
got
right,
time.
all right. Somebody else come up with something.
A-Rod.
Sure. Alex Rodriguez.
Mike Trout.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I don't think we got 10. I don't think we named 10 total. I think I named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'm going to say you got 2 of them.
No, I got
You think you got
I
more?
think 4. I'm gonna
got-
say my 4 again.
Okay.
I got 6. I'm saying all 6 of mine are on there.
Okay. We're doing a third round.
What do you think? How many? You said 4?
I said 2.
2. Okay, 2. Wow.
I'm gonna say 4.
Okay.
I'll stick with that number.
All right. For those, as we are recording this, the New York Yankees are currently playing in the World Series, down 3-0 to the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Ooh, it's like you're recording history right now.
We are recording history. All right. Number 1, Babe Ruth. Yes.
You got it.
Said it. Number 2, Joe DiMaggio. Said it. Ooh, I should have got number 3, Lou Gehrig.
Oh, that does sound familiar.
Sounds familiar. I'm at a loss for words, Jonah. There's a disease.
Yeah.
He gave a speech. It's kind of a big deal. All right.
Yeah.
Number 4, Mickey Mantle. Said that one.
Okay.
Number 5, Yogi Berra. Said that
I
one.
thought that was a joke. Like Yogi Bear.
Yep. There you go.
Okay.
Yogi Berra is from St. Louis.
Oh.
Number 5, Billy Martin. Didn't get that one. Number 7, Whitey Ford. Number 8, Reggie Jackson. Sorry, Reggie. Didn't get that one. Number 9, Roger Maris. Got that one. And number 10, Dave Winfield. I don't know who that is.
Okay. But
So
all the other ones, did you know?
Don Larson, they didn't have.
Okay.
So I got 5 out of 6.
Okay.
Don Larson, by the way, fun fact, the only pitcher in Major League Baseball history to pitch a perfect game in the World Series.
Oh.
Wow.
Yogi Berra was the catcher, and Don Larson was the pitcher. It's never happened since, never even come close. And he was a member of my congregation in Coeur d'Alene.
Wow.
Oh,
So
really?
Cool.
When Micah was born, he signed a baseball to him. So we've got a Don Larson signed baseball at home.
Nice. Very
So
cool.
cool.
All right, so we're not doing that one. All right, here we go. One more, because Brenda
One
didn't
more.
really participate in that one.
Redemption.
Neither did Jonah.
Jonah did say A-Rod, which...
I said A-Rod.
Oh, okay.
No, she said it.
All right, Jonah didn't participate in that one.
Yeah, I said a Cubs name, not anything close.
So I, by myself, got as many as the three of us got on the previous one.
All right.
It's
you
not a
carried it.
competition. I'm just older. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready? The category is China. China.
Oh.
Panda bears. Beijing.
Orange chicken?
Peking.
Rice.
Rice.
The Great Wall.
Great Wall.
Feels wrong.
Dragons?
Ooh, New Year's. Rice.
Sparklers. Fireworks.
Yeah, fireworks. Oh, mathematics. Buddhism.
Cantonese.
Confucius.
Genghis Khan?
Mongolia. Hong Kong.
Silk. And
Silk.
silkworms.
Silk
and
Road.
kimonos.
Spices?
Spices. Emperor. Or they have an emperor?
Sure.
I'm going to say
They did.
emperor.
Trading.
Bamboo?
Bamboo. Oh, man. Every one of these has like a ethnic or cultural bent. Makes me so nervous.
Yeah.
All right. Time.
Okay. Brenda, how did we do on China?
I'm going to say 4.
Okay. You're sticking with 4.
Sticking with 4.
Jonah?
I'm going to be confident this time. Let's go 7.
7.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hi.
We named a lot of stuff.
We did say a lot of words. That's the spirit of the game. I'm going to say 5. I'm going to take the middle road today.
Okay.
All right. Category at home. Listeners, what did we forget about China? I'm sorry. I don't know what this is. It's probably a person's name.
Oh.
It looks like Teng Xiaoping, TengXiaoping. That's probably a person
Person's
from
name?
history.
Okay.
Yeah.
I laughed because I couldn't say it. Then I was afraid, what if all 10 of them are just things I can't say?
Yeah.
So I wasn't laughing at the name. I was laughing at, oh no, this might not go well. Number 2, Peking. I said that.
Oh, nice.
It's like an old name for Beijing, or like the English name for Beijing.
Oh, okay. So 1 point.
Number 3, Mao Zedong,
Oh.
the chairman, emperor, or the leader. Okay. Number 4, Chiang Kai-shek. I
Another
don't know what
person?
that is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Number 5, the Ming Dynasty. I've heard of that. We didn't say it.
We didn't say that?
We said emperor.
I thought somebody threw out a dynasty.
Maybe we said dynasty. We did not say
I
the
didn't say
Ming
dynasty.
Dynasty.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Number 6, most populous country. We didn't say that. Number 7, Tibet.
Nope.
Has something to do with China. We didn't say that either.
Nope.
Number 8, Great Wall.
2 points.
There we go.
Number 9, rice. Hey-o!
Oh, there you go.
And number 10, Mao's Little Red Book. So not only Chairman Mao, but his Little Red Book.
Oh.
So we
Okay.
got 3.
We got 3. That was not the best round.
No.
Nope.
No. We got Peking, Great Wall, and rice. That's what the 3 of us, we have 4 college degrees between us. And what we came up with was rice. And they got a big wall.
Hey.
And Beijing
go.
used to go by a different name.
All right.
Cool. Well, let's forget this ever happened and never speak of it again. Today, our topic is no transition here. We're talking about grief, talking about loss, and that experience of saying goodbye to a person, a thing, a dream. Maybe I'll start with just a kind of reflection question for either of you. What's an early memory of grief for you? Can you think of a time when you experienced not just sadness, but like a and I don't have this, by the way, this isn't a technical definition, but like something is no longer there, and that's a sadness. Can you think of a early experience of grief or sadness in that sense, like loss?
Like, would you say that we experienced, or that
Like you,
like our family? Like, because my one of my earliest ones, I think, is when my grandfather died. And that was a tough time because they lived 2 hours south of us, so they weren't very close to us. But all I remember was my mom just coming into the room and being like, "Hey, like, Grandpa died." And, you know, as a little kid, like, there's some parts of it where you kind of were like just in shock of like, what do you mean Grandpa died? Like, we just saw him. Like, it was literally like 2 weeks before that we were on like a trip to Disney World with them. And all of a sudden it was like, he's just gone. And I think that was a huge shocking moment, not only for myself, but my family. It was the first time I saw my father cry. And that shock and just seeing that, I think, brought me out of the shock that was his death, and kind of realizing like this is a real thing that's happening.
That's interesting that you point out like seeing your father cry, because I don't know that I have any specific memory right now, but I have kind of a sense of memories of I didn't maybe feel something, but seeing someone else's experience of it, that impacted me. So like I might not have felt the sadness or grief, but I'm grieving because you're grieving, and your grief is what I'm grieving. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Brenda, what about you? Can you think of an early memory? Not early, but yeah. When was grief a real thing for you, kind of for the first time?
Very similar. Like the first thing that came to mind was also grandfather passing, but I don't remember myself feeling like I was grieving, but it was kind of very much a face-to-face with death. So I remember seeing his body in my grandma's room, like laying on the bed before they kind of carried him off. And I remember I climbed on the bed and put like my family's Catholic. I put a crucifix on his chest, and it wasn't like a scary or a gross thing. Like that's just grandpa, and just very normal. So I have that early memory of loss, but then also the memory of like how family grieved, and they all grieved very loudly. I remember like funerals and the wake and then the burial. Like,
is that more like the Mexican side of your family?
Yes,
I would assume.
Yeah. And so then it's like people that are kind of falling over each other and sobbing loudly and kind of screaming, in like kind of anger that this person has passed. So like seeing that, and there were a lot of funerals, like that was a normal thing of life, like
wailing,
babies died, like and to see that, so from a young age, like that was normal to see grief so loudly. I
think that it's a very kind of like what you described is very physical, just the being on the bed, the crucifix on chest, the sounds of it. I think my first memory was probably my Grandma Weber, Colgate sending pie baking Grandma Weber. I don't remember hardly anything about the funeral except the flowers. I can still smell them, or if I smell I don't know what they are, but if I smell that flower to this day, like it takes me back to that room. I was maybe in middle school when she died. I don't remember much about it. I remember the flowers. And I haven't had a lot of death in my family, like in childhood. So my Grandma Weber died when I was maybe middle school. Sorry, Dad, if I'm forgetting. And then my Grandpa Weber died when I was in either college or seminary. And so those are the first two people in my family who died. And then no one until my mom, maybe 2 years ago. And then my Grandpa Johnson, her dad, just died this last year.
Right.
So I'm 43 tomorrow. I've had 4 people in my family die, and 2 of them were in the last like 2.5 years. But like as pastor, I experience it I don't want to say all the time, but kind of all the time. And that experience for me has changed a whole lot. I'm sorry, I don't talk about myself, but I don't know how much of my emotions is just like aging. Like I didn't cry much before. Mm-hmm. When Charlotte and I were, I think we must have been engaged. We were watching The Notebook, and she was just bawling, and I was not. And she looked over at me, just like puffy and red and, everything. And then she started hitting me, somewhat joking, but also mad at me. Like, when's the last time you even cried? Like you uncaring. You're like, you robot. Like, how did I say, yes, I'm going to marry you?
Right.
You're just this cold person. And now it's this is maybe off the topic of grief, but even reading a children's book, I will choke up more regularly. But All Saints Day has gotten harder for me as a pastor to read names. So we have a tradition at St. Luke's and a lot of churches where we have a moment to remember those who have died in the faith in the last year or so. And probably until the last 2 years, I could get through that list no problem. But the last 2-3 years,
those people.
Yeah, I know them. I feel it differently, and I think I also feel the accumulation, even if somebody's name isn't on this list. There are more and more people who are no longer with us. Mm-hmm. Right, and I feel that more. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's heavy. I mean, that's something. Especially the more time you spend at a church, you get to know more people, which is a wonderful thing. But then as people start to get older and age and whether it's from older age or even an accident that creates that death, I mean, these are real people that we're interacting with. This isn't just numbers on a board of, all right, here's another check mark on who died this year. No, these are friends, family members, people that we've seen in church week after week that we're seeing die, and it's saddening, I think, too. I know especially from my experience starting out in ministry, showing up during COVID, there was a lot of deaths in our congregation. A lot of them because of COVID related incidents, but it was tough because I was fresh out of college and hadn't really experienced many funerals at all, and didn't really know many of the people that had passed away. But especially spending more time in the church, you kind of get to know those people, and they become your friends, the people who support you and care for you. And when they go away, you're kind of sad and you're grieving over that, really.
Yeah. When you think about them going away and you're grieving, have you thought, or just to put either of you on the spot now, what is it that you're grieving? Maybe it's different for different people.
I think part of what I grieve is that I won't hear their voice anymore. They're not really there anymore. So if you go to a funeral where the body is there and it's an open casket, you can go and look at this person and they're almost unrecognizable. That's them, kind of, but they're not really there anymore. So I grieve that even in those last moments where I can still physically see you, you're not there anymore. I'm not going to hear your voice. I won't get to hug you anymore, not here on earth. So that I grieve that.
Yeah. I like how you said they're not there anymore, because many times, and this is me being a theologian as well, but we often say that's not grandma, but no, it is. That is she is her body. Mm-hmm. And this body through faith in Christ will rise on the last day. And yet she's not whole and she's not fully there. And and for some people, that open casket can be really helpful and healing and offer a closure. And other people, it's grandpa never wore makeup. That's weird. That's, and they're hollow, it can be, right. It can be, some people it's very helpful, and other people it's disturbing. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's a right or wrong there. It's just different experiences.
Right.
What's something you've grieved besides a person? So I think I most often think about grief when a someone who's close to me has died. But I think I've experienced real, like authentic and deep grief over other things besides people. Brenda, have you grieved? Have you felt that loss for something besides a loved one who died?
Yeah, I was going to say it still has to do with people, but not a person that died. I guess I'll be honest, like with our team here of people that we work with, I grieve the loss of people that aren't here anymore. When I started working at St. Luke's, I had this expectation of these are the people that are going to be here. Like they're bringing me on. I love what's happening here. I can see how I'm going to work with this person and this person. And I like how everyone collaborates. And then less than a month in, Pastor Aaron left. He accepted a call to another church, which is great. But I felt like that was such a whirlwind. Like I'm just starting to get settled here and this person is gone. So the team changes. And then to go through a vacancy here, like who's going to join our team, like waiting for that. And then having people join the team and leave again. And we had somebody on our team just retire after 33 years, which again, great.
We love you, Jan.
We love you, Jan.
Love you, Jan.
But I feel like we haven't taken the time to really process that. So I feel like we're all kind of doing it on our own. And I'm looking around like, everyone seems okay. Are you all okay? Is this okay? But this isn't the team I signed up for. So and not that I don't love the people that are here.
Those of you just listening, Brenda's avoiding eye contact with Jonah right now. It's really uncomfortable in the room.
Nervous right now.
No, I love all the people that we work with. But I still grieve like what I was expecting.
So what I heard in there is both primarily the people, but also the expectation of this is what I thought it was going to be. And that expectation, that dream, that assumption is gone. It's dead. It's not coming back.
And without the space to process or grieve, it's like on a dime, like move on, go with what, like things are still happening. Things still have to happen. So just keep going. So it's like we're not allowed, haven't made the space to feel those feelings.
And Brenda, you came on board in December of 21?
December of 21, so almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, almost 3 years. And since you've been here, at least 3 full-time staff members have moved on to other things.
Not including
4, maybe.
Teachers and just other people in different positions. So it's been a lot of people leaving and new people coming on.
Yeah, and our work is often such that there's so much to do. Like it's hard to stop and process. And Brenda and I were actually talking about this a little bit last week or 2 weeks ago. And after Jan retired, I've just taken a minute to go, oh yeah, that's hard and that's sad. And how it can affect our other relationships of when you've said goodbye to people, and each of them for like good normal life reasons, it can affect how you work with other people. Of am I looking at you suspiciously of, well, how long is he going to be here,
right?
And then am I guarded because it hurts to love and say goodbye, even if there was no hurt, like even if there wasn't a harmful or wrong thing, it hurts when that person, that relationship is gone. You grieve that, and I don't want to be hurt. And so do I just close myself off? Yeah.
And for Jan's retirement, again,
it's beautiful.
She did not die. She is not, hasn't even moved away. She's still at our church. And yet seeing the slideshow of pictures of her throughout the years, I got teary and I didn't expect to feel so emotional about it. So then to come back into our office, her name's not on this check-in board. Her office has some of her stuff, but it's not her stuff
Alice
anymore.
Stole her chair immediately.
And she's not there. And there is some of that guardedness and like struggles with trust of, okay, like even with you, Jonah, like, I'm so glad you're here. And here I am like, please stay, like, please, like, be here for a long, long time.
Right.
And so there is that in the back of your head, like, all right, how long will this last?
And how do you say those things in a way that isn't unintentionally manipulative? And also there's no hard feelings or judgment for the people who aren't here anymore. But I don't want you to leave. Are you going to leave me?
Right.
So grieving staff changes.
Yeah. And I'm curious, Jonah, like, you coming in then, how does that feel to, like, watch people grieving, people that you didn't get a chance to work with or only got a chance to work with for a little while?
You're kind of stepping into others' grief.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's tough because I mean, I don't know, like, even in my childhoodness, like, I also safeguarded my emotions. And so stepping into an area like this, like, I didn't know Jan as well as you guys might have. I still know Jan, of course, with her being here, but I didn't get to spend many, many years with her being here. I didn't get to grow up listening to her or hearing what she had to say. And so part of that is just me realizing that there's a level of respect that I can't just come in and say, oh, well, I didn't really know Jan, so yep, see ya, bye. But there's a sensitivity there that it's, when you come into this space, it's like, okay, no, this is a very significant person in this church. And though I've never experienced anything, I can see the impact it makes on people. Even being at the reception, there's so many people who are like yourself, cried over things and got teary eyed and we're very joyful that she spent so many wonderful years working here. And I still think there's that joy that she's still around that I think kind of helps that and comforts that. But as the person stepping into that role, it's like, okay, well, I didn't get to work with you long, but it was good working with you while you were here. And so I think that's difficult just because, like, I don't get that longevity, but it's also just different because she's still around. So if that makes sense.
And you're with people who are grieving, and it's not your grief.
Right.
And that, I think that's okay. But I also think that could be difficult. You could almost feel guilty of, like, oh, they're feeling this. I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, am I uncaring? And I think that's okay. I think in a certain sense, it's not your grief.
Right.
Like, that's not yours to bear.
Yeah.
But I think you're in a spot where you can love others in their hurt and loss.
Right.
Without having to share it. I always forget the definitions of, like, sympathy and empathy and things like that. Like, you don't have to know what I'm going through firsthand to care about me. And in fact, probably the less you assume you know what I'm going through, probably the less you care for me, or, like, the poorer your compassion is. So instead of, like, I know exactly what you're feeling, I don't know what you're feeling. Tell me what that feels like. Like, that, for me, that feels better, instead of somebody assuming they know what I'm going through. They might, but don't assume you know.
Right.
Maybe just ask. And in that conversation, there's probably a spot to say, I don't know what that feels like, but here's an experience I had. And maybe we find some common ground in there.
I don't know why this is making me think of it, but Eeyore and Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
I think there's a picture image somewhere of, like, Eeyore is this very mopey, sad character. And his friends are very bouncy and cheerful, but they don't necessarily try to change him. Like, we're just going to sit with you and we're still friends. Like, we still love you. I saw a picture about that once. I'm like, that's kind of what you're saying, or at least what I'm hearing.
Yeah, just you can love someone. You don't have to cheer them up. You don't have to say, I know exactly what that's like, because that happened to me too. You can just love them by listening and letting them share their experience.
There's something to just being in the presence of somebody else, you know, not feeling like you have to say much or say too much, but just being there. Sometimes
people apologize when you share something or you vent, and they're like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know, like, I don't have an answer. I don't have a really great advice for this. And at least for me, I always say, like, I wasn't really looking for that. Like, I don't want that. Just thank you for letting me, like, get it out and, like, sitting here with me. Like, I feel better just talking about it.
I thought you were saying kind of the opposite of, sometimes people will share and then they'll say sorry for dumping on you.
Oh, I mean,
which I think can be true, but I think even that sentiment acknowledges that listening to another person really is helping carry that burden, even if you don't do anything. To be a kind person who listens is to walk with them in their grief, even if you have nothing to say. And maybe even just saying, I have nothing to say, but I care about you. And that sounds really hard.
Right.
Yeah. So Jonah, what have you experienced grief over, or have you experienced grief over something besides someone who died?
Yeah. I mean, I even think in recent times here too, like having been on the other side of a call and just taking a call to be here, I think there's sometimes grief over like losing a place that you've been at. A lot of people move and change locations, and like even the first thing I think off the top of my head is like, oh man, like back in Kentucky, you could get a breakfast over there for $6 and it was wonderful. And sometimes you say that jokingly to yourself, but like sometimes it's also like a feeling of grief, like, oh man, like that's a loss that I've had. Like I'm no longer in that area. And it goes back to the same people too. Like I'm not with those people anymore. I'm not with that community anymore. But that's all right. And I know it's the same way on the opposite end of like, yeah, it's sad to leave a place too. It's the people who leave us in the sense of like moving, that is like, they can experience that grief as well too. Like it's the separation of humans from each other and that those friendships that we've had.
I think it's appropriate, of course, that you mentioned friendships and separation from people, but I like that your first example was the breakfast, because I think that's real. I think it feels more appropriate to say we're grieving the people, and that's good. I think we should grieve people, but I think there's a real sense of loss of that was my coffee shop, and that's not my coffee shop anymore.
Yeah, it's the place where Sarah was born.
Yeah,
you know.
And for better or worse, that exact location and that time will never be replicated again.
Right.
Even if you moved back there in 5 years or 10 years, it's not going to be exactly the same. So when you are choosing to leave, it's that acknowledgement of like, this will never be again.
Yeah, we used
I can't come back to this.
Yeah, that old phrase, you can't go home because it won't be the same.
No.
And that's sad. That's real. A couple of years ago, we drove by our childhood home. We went back into St. Louis for kind of a family reunion, and it was nostalgic. It was fun, and there was a lot of sadness of, oh, this feels so cozy and so familiar. In some ways, more than my current home does for certain things, and just the memories of the house and the adventures there. In Omaha, where we lived before coming here, we had 2 different coffee shops within a mile of our house. So we would walk. And so Micah, he was 2 years old, and we would walk a mile to a coffee shop. He was kind of already a pretty fit kid and liked adventures. But that was a normal thing. We just go. We had a cat, by the way, Louis. He's a terrible cat. I didn't know how long cats lived when I bought this cat. He was full grown when I got him. I thought we were in for like 6 or 7 years. That cat stayed with us. Yeah. Oh my goodness. For probably 17 years we had that cat. Anyway, the cat in Omaha would walk with us outside off leash. And he would just walk like 10 feet behind us. We'd
all the way to the coffee shop?
Well, we'd walk all around the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
And the cat would always be with us. And people would be like, is that your cat? We're like, yeah. But he was like too cool to be with us. He's like a teenager. He's like, I'm with him, but like not with them. Right. Like he just kind of keep his distance, but stay. But the rule was, if we were going to the coffee shop, we had to cross like a 4-lane road at a crosswalk and street light. And if Louis was still there, we had to go home because he'd get killed. He didn't know traffic was coming. So, we're a half mile from house and we're checking. He's still there, and the kids are like, "Go home, Louis! Like, go back." And I'm like, "Well, maybe if we just ignore him, he'll like lose interest and go away." So like he's ignoring us, we're ignoring him, but we look back and he stops. And so there were several times we'd walk 3/4 of a mile. We'd get to the street light and Louis there. I'm like, "Well, sorry, kids, I'm not going to buy a hot chocolate today. Stupid
Walk
cat's
back.
still with us. but yeah, like I miss those walks. I miss that. I miss having a coffee shop in our house. I mean, neighborhood. And when Louis died, we took him to the vet. I had to take that day off of work. Like I couldn't go into work. That surprised me. Having I don't think I ever cried for a pet before. Like
for Louis.
we had dogs growing up who were great, and I love dogs. I don't want one now because I don't want to deal with it. But when our cat died, and then midnight a couple years later, same thing. Like I couldn't even like call the office. I'm like texting through like blurry eyes. I'm like, I can't come in today. We had to put midnight down. That was unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was part of that because I'd imagine like this animal, this pet is part of the family. It's a constant. You're like, you just expect to see like around the corner a swish of a tail, and then to like, I'm not going to see that anymore.
There's a hole now, and there's a void. And we had the cat, Louis Pickles. He's a wonderful cat. By the end, he was wonderful. Like the last 18 months, he was cuddly and nice. The first 18 years, the worst. But you know, we had Louis for, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years, even before our first child was born. So like, you know, there were times where we had the cat twice as long. He's been a part of our family twice as long as my daughter.
Your whole marriage, right?
Yeah. So we got him our first year of marriage.
Yeah.
And so we just had our 19th anniversary. But there's a while, like, okay, obviously I love my daughter, but cat's been part of this family twice as long as you have. Like I had more memories with the cat than with my kids.
So you're like, Alexis, know your place. You come in after Louis.
Like obviously not, but like there's something about, I had more memories. I had more shared experiences. Titus was born in Omaha. We had the cat in St. Louis for 2 years, in Oklahoma for a year, in St. Louis maybe for 1 more year, in Coeur d'Alene for 5 years, and then in Omaha for a year or two before Titus came around. It's like entire states I've lived in with this cat that none of my kids have been in.
Right.
So a lot of shared experiences. I think also with that, seeing my wife and kids grieve, that was hard. That was like the grief of people I care about hurting.
Yeah. Well, and it shows that it's the community that grieved. Like it's the whole family, and it's good when a family comes together about those griefs instead of going into their separate rooms. Because I know that was very big for my sister to do. Is she wanted to just go into her room after our dog died, and it's like, no, like we're a family. Like come out here, let's cry together, you know. And we didn't need to force her to do that, but I think there's something beautiful to that we can support and love one another.
Yeah,
in that way,
and people feel it and express it and process it differently, and oftentimes people talk about stages of grief as if there is a linear sequence that you're supposed to progress through in order to be done with it, and I don't think that's true. I think there are different expressions and experiences of grief that might come and go, and those are okay. And I don't think there's a timeline to move through or get by it. But like some people really like to talk about the person who died and share memories, and other people like they just can't or not right now. It's easier to just move on or to think about something else, and those different expressions could be between siblings and friends or spouses. And so the person who you want to share the burden with might be experiencing it in a very different way.
Very true.
It's something I talk with families around funerals every time of like, you might be laughing 1 minute and crying the next, and the person next to you might be the opposite, and that's okay. But it's hard. Like if you're crying and they're laughing, like you should be hurting like I am. or I'm remembering Mom and these great memories. Why are you so sad?
And you kind of feel a little bit alone in your grief, even with other people, if they're not experiencing it the exact same way as you are.
Yeah. I think, yeah, because like how you're experiencing it is part of the experience.
Right.
Like if people are wailing and you want quiet, those don't work well together.
No.
And like, I probably need quiet. Like I'm going to go off by myself and go for a walk and think about it. And your racket over there is like disrupting me. I can't experience my moment.
Right.
Well, and I think in regards as well to like what stages people are going through, some people spend a really long time grieving, and some people spend a really short time grieving too. And I think that can also bring up that conflict between people of like, hey, like I'm over it. Like Grandpa passed on, we're moving on in life. But someone else in the family might still say, no, like this still really hurts for me right now. I'm still feeling his death at this moment. And there's that sensitivity there that everyone has different levels of longevity with their grief.
And different ways of marking it maybe. So related to that, so some people, we get through this hard season and maybe we never speak of it again. And other people, it's the anniversary of her death. We're going to have a family Zoom and share memories. And like that, for some people, that's a normal thing. And I don't think there's a better or worse, but those are very different. And there's some griefs in my life that I don't want to revisit.
But some come back even if you don't want them to. I think about what you said about the flowers. Like if you just smell the flowers, like it brings you back. Like you weren't thinking about it or planning on thinking about it at that time, but on a physical sense, that memory is attached like to that physical sense. So if you smell it, it comes back. So I just wonder about those types of things, like
or a memory
years and years later. Yeah,
that movie, she loved that movie, or that dessert she used to make. It can show up unexpectedly.
So you could be grieving the rest of your life.
Yeah,
like all of us in different, big or little ways.
Yeah,
yeah. And I think that's appropriate. I mean, as like just human creatures, but from a theological point of view, the world is broken, and we don't need to pretend otherwise.
Right.
One of my favorite episodes in Scripture about this is John chapter 11 when Lazarus dies. Jesus loved Lazarus. He loved Mary. He loved Martha. Jesus was about to raise Lazarus from the dead, like unbind him and come out of the tomb in this awesome moment of life over death. But in the midst of that, Jesus wept. And it's not because he didn't have hope or he didn't believe in the resurrection. Like 10 minutes later, Lazarus was going to be alive and nobody else knew that. Like Jesus knew it certainly. And if it were me, I'd be like smirking and like, oh, wait till you see this, guys. Like dry up your tears, check this out, like cracking my knuckles. But Jesus himself, who was going to raise Lazarus, wept because death is ugly and hurt and loss and sadness isn't the way it's supposed to be.
It's not supposed to be okay.
Yeah, it's not okay. Like, and to be clear, there are good things about not suffering. Like if somebody's in a bad spot, to no longer have Lou Gehrig's disease, Yankees callback, like to no longer, watch your spouse decline through Alzheimer's. Like there is a blessing and a relief that comes from no longer suffering. But death is the enemy to be destroyed, and separation from loved ones isn't good. And so our hope is not just that they're gone and floating in heaven, but the resurrection that Lazarus experienced, someday we will on the last day. So, but until then we can grieve, and we might keep grieving and might keep grieving the same things. This Sunday at St. Luke's and other churches really around the world, typically it's the first Sunday in November, Sometimes maybe it's the second Sunday in November, but typically it's the first Sunday in November is All Saints Day. And it's a Christian festival, holiday occasion where we remember those who've died in the faith. And many churches mark that by reading the names of those who've died, and maybe having a moment of silence to remember those who've died further in the past. And so for people listening, I just want to give you permission to grieve this weekend and any weekend, any day. Also, as we were just saying, people grieve in different ways. And if remembering your spouse or your mom or your son, like if taking a moment to do that feels really hard and you don't want to be a part of something like that, that's okay. Like, I think it's a beautiful service. It's one of my highlights of the year. In some ways, I like it more than Christmas and Easter. Mm-hmm. It's probably it might be my favorite church holiday. I'd have to think about that more. I think it might be.
Wow.
I think it might be we could talk a whole lot about that. I think it's my favorite, but it doesn't have to be your favorite. So you can say, no, too many people are lost this year. It hurts too bad. I can't go out of the house. Okay. It's okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Do it. Go get a donut. Go for a walk.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Whatever you need to do. Or you might come and say, I normally sit over here by myself, but I need a friend. Can we sit together and hold hands? And I might ugly cry during church, and I'm glad you wore long sleeves. I'm going to need those.
And I'd say if you're on the opposite side of that and you see somebody sitting by themselves and like they're having a hard time, like maybe scooch over a few feet, sit a little bit closer.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know them, you should ask before you like put an arm around them. Boundaries are important. But if you know them, like if this is somebody you're doing life with, they might not be in a spot to answer, and maybe you just squeeze their hand. Do it in a way that they can get away if that's uncomfortable for them. I'm trying to be boundaries here, but if it's somebody you know, and you know they're grieving, this might be a time to just put an arm around them in an appropriate way. I'm not sure how to say that better on the radio, Brenda.
You said it.
I'm nervous. All right, move on.
Yeah.
But it's a weird thing in our culture. But touch matters. Like, we're humans. Like a hand.
I was just thinking,
it matters.
Your wife gives the best hugs because she isn't okay with just like a quick side hug, or like she waits for you to let go. She's not going to let go first. And I think she does that on purpose is what I'm figuring out. And not enough people give long enough hugs. We need longer hugs.
We need longer hugs.
Yep.
That might be the tagline for today's episode. Jonah, any final thoughts on the length of hug or processing our grief together?
Yeah, I mean, or it doesn't even have to be a full-on hug, but sometimes a hand on the shoulder is sometimes very helpful too. I mean, that person-to-person connection. We talk about connecting and communicating a lot, like using our words or typing stuff online, but really there is a physicality to us as humans that we can care for one another, and that touch, that the simple touches of hand on the shoulder or even a hug, I think mean a lot to people. They really do see that and care for that, because so much of our culture kind of strays away from that. But having that little bit of touch and care for another person, I think, is a lot.
Yeah. So your experience of grief might be 40 years in the making or continuing. It might have nothing to do with the death of a person. It might have nothing to do with the celebration of All Saints Day. But my encouragement, listeners, viewers, would be to share it. Maybe it's somebody who knows the hurt, and you can just name it again. Hey, you know how when I was a senior in high school, I moved schools and that was really hard? Sometimes that's still really hard. And just, you can share it. If you know somebody who was going through a hurt, it's okay to ask. I think we often say, ooh, I don't want to bring it up because it might be sensitive. They might not want to talk about it. But what often happens is there's a death and everybody supports, and then 2 weeks later, everybody's gone. And then we all just move on, but that person is living in this reality, and they think everyone forgot about their spouse because no one will say his name because they're all afraid it's going to make her feel sad.
Right.
Yeah.
And if that's your friend, she already feels sad. And so you can say, hey, I've been thinking about Jim, or I miss your daughter's laugh. And the person you say that to might cry, but that's okay. Like, don't try to make them cry. But if you know somebody who's grieving, you can ask how they're doing with it, because most people are afraid to have an awkward conversation. So that's one of our goals for this podcast, is to talk about things that matter, to take this space for highs and lows and listing facts about China and wallet contents. But we really want the conversation to continue, and that's on you. You can listen to this and that's okay. But if you're grieving, share that with someone. If you know somebody else is, ask how they're doing. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for processing. I look forward to continuing to do life together with you, Jonah, with you, Brenda, for as long as we have, and whatever capacity we have.
For as long as we have that.
I don't know.
What do you mean?
Well,
So foreboding.
we started by saying Shane's no longer with us.
That's true.
He's just working
true.
in the other room.
Next week it'll be just Jonah and I on the podcast.
Wow.
So watch out. 10 rounds of outburst.
10 rounds is all we're going to do. Loser eats candy corn.
Oh, great.
We're going to raise the stakes. By the way, I love the candy corn. Thank you, Julie, our generous patron for candy corn. Don't let these other people dissuade you. It's wonderful. All right, that's all we got for today, folks. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Adios.
That's the end of the episode, but we want to continue the conversation. Continue the conversation by sharing this episode, subscribing, or leaving a review. Connect with us on Instagram at 2414 podcast. Connect with us through email at 2414@stlukes-church.com. Or best of all, keep the conversation going by inviting someone to process with you, so that you can each walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. If you happen to be in the Seattle-Tacoma area of Washington, stop by on a Sunday morning and say hi. 2414 is a podcast produced by St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Federal Way, Washington. To find more content, discover upcoming opportunities to connect in person, or to support the show, head on over to stlukes-church.com. Thanks for walking with us.